Hello! I've got something a little different for you today just because we are hosting visitors and adventuring with them, so there's not really time to review my weekend books, which is totally okay. But I wanted to give you some recommendations anyway, and I know with the summertime coming up and the warmer weather that people plan trips for this time of the year and they go really cool places, but that not everyone is always able to go on a trip, and so you're stuck at home, stuck around your city or whatever town you live in, and I thought maybe I'd get on here and give you some recommendations for books that I thought were really excellent travel devices, I guess you could say. They transported me to different experiences, different times, different cities and countries that I've never been to, and I want to share them with you because, again, we're not all able to go on those trips, but a book could take you there still. So I've got 4 things today to recommend to you. First up is a book titled Alexandria, the City That Changed the World. And of course, based on that title, we know that we are going to Northern Africa, looking at a very specific region, a very specific city. And this starts at, of course, the historic ancient times before the city of Alexandria is even really much of a place to live yet. And then it goes all the way up to current times, modern days, and what's changed, what's happening now, and everything in between. You get a lot of it. And it's clear that this author has done so much research, which is really interesting, just all of the stuff that you learn about the city. I even made notes of there's a couple historical figures that I was like, oh, that would be interesting to read more about them. So it's a book that feels like a gateway to more learning, which maybe sounds kind of cliche or nerdy, but I think that's a great testament of a book. To be like, I was so interested in what I was learning that it made me want to read more. And I think what really sells this for me is that the author very clearly just loves Alexandria. And I think that maybe that's the best kind of author to have write about a place. Not because you just get the most perfect rose-tinted picture of a city and you're like, oh, it must be so beautiful and wonderful and everything's perfect there. But you can just tell that he writes with love and care and admiration about this place, looking at some of the pitfalls that it's gone through and rough seasons, rough years, but then also being like, here are some beautiful things that have emerged from the city and this is what's happening with it now. And I just think that's really cool, really awesome to hear the love shine through the words that he's written here. Because it really was I picked up this book and didn't know that I was sitting down with someone who had a binder full of information of stuff that they love and a PowerPoint that they're ready to share where they can be like, let me tell you about this thing I adore. But that's what it's like reading this, because the author clearly has a lot of love here. So it is a little long, I would say, just because so much is stuffed into it. But when I read this, I remember it was a busy month of my life, but when I sat down with the book, it read pretty quickly and it definitely held my interest and was engaging. So take your time with it. Enjoy your travel to Alexandria. This is a book I definitely recommend, and I can see a lot of other people enjoying it too. Next up is Under the Tuscan Sun, which may be familiar to some people already because it was made into a film in the early 2000s, I believe. But it is a memoir, obviously in Italy, Tuscany, and it's written by a woman who, with her husband, has purchased a home in Tuscany, and they are slowly but surely starting to do repairs to it and remodels to it, and they're tending the yard, fixing up the yard as they are doing everything to the house, but they're also professors back in the States, so they have to balance that in there. And this story is those seasons when they get to come back to Italy and be in Italy, working on the house and being in the region, not only working on the house, but exploring things also and enjoying that region of the country. I read this as sort of a bedtime story for myself. I like that, to have books that kind of put me to sleep, because it's a good story with nothing too exciting that's gonna make me want to read till 1 a.m. but also not just something that I can't even get through because it's too boring. So this was a good happy medium of good writing. I was interested in what this woman, her husband, and their adult children, who sometimes came to visit, what they were all doing. Just the way that she wrote made you feel like you were there with them, enjoying things, but also doing the hard work of fixing up a house. The one thing I will say that was a drawback for reading it at night when I was trying to go to bed is that the way she talks about all of the food that they would eat in Italy, because of course it's amazing cuisine. Oh my gosh, I would just get so hungry. I'd be like, I have to go to bed instead of eating a bowl of pasta. What can you do? But this was definitely worth the time and made me feel like I had just gone on a little mental journey to Italy. So if that's what you need, I recommend this. And then I haven't checked out the movie, so if you have, let me know if I should check that out too. This next one is a very niche travel opportunity because the guy who wrote it went to this region of Russia for a very specific reason that this isn't an opportunity that presents itself to everybody. And this book is Owls of the Eastern Ice, a quest to find and save the world's largest owl. What a time, what a trip. Now, one of the reasons I like this so much is because you could not pay me to go winter camping in Russia, but I got to read this guy's story about his experience with that, tracking this bird. The bird is the elusive Blakiston's fish owl. I don't know, they look pretty cool if you look up images of them. They're a pretty neat bird, and I imagine it was a very incredible experience for this guy who studies them, like that's his job. That's just what he gets to do. Figure out how to track down these birds in these obscure parts of Russia and work at collecting the data, of course, about them and studying them, writing some papers about them. Interesting stuff. And you really do get to feel like you are there in the cold winter of Russia and just the discomfort of staying out in cold, inclement weather, waiting for these birds to appear and troubleshooting the different ways that they're trying to track this data, track these birds, and it doesn't always work. They don't always have the right technology. The technology is still being developed. So all of these complications that arise as they're going about this field work. And it's just written in a way that's really engaging and puts you there with them. And again, I never actually want to experience this firsthand because that doesn't sound fun to me. I am not a person who loves camping. One time my best friend got me socks that say I love not camping because I love not camping. So for anyone who is in that boat, but you find this topic interesting either because you like birds or the whole idea seems fascinating, this is definitely for you. And it's written, again, just very well, and it was a very quick read, so I think that lots of people could enjoy this one too and just experience something that not a lot of people get in their life. I'm ending with another niche experience, and that's with a book titled Brave the Wild River, The Untold Story of Two Women Who Mapped the Botany of the Grand Canyon. That is not something that everyone just does with their summer. But these two women, Elzada and Lois, they did it, and they had lots to say about it. They got lots of specimens, they had adventures, and it was really interesting. I picked this up on a whim last summer because I guess I'm just someone who likes to read niche historical things, like those little stories that you're like, oh, yeah, I guess someone would have had to do this, or someone has done this, but I haven't learned about this yet. I don't know enough about it. So I will 100% pick up those books every time, even if it's like, this is really obscure and why? Why are you reading this? I don't know. I just really enjoy it. And that's what this was. And this story not only talked about their adventure, of course, down the river and through the Grand Canyon, but there was commentary, of course, of their experiences in grad school and in higher education, working on their careers in higher education, because they were doing this back in 1938. So imagine those times and how things are as far as not only like women in higher education, but then also just two women setting out on this adventure in the wild down this river that hasn't been explored a lot by people of their class and their station, definitely not by women. So it was very interesting to get that sort of perspective on it. And then, of course, they find all kinds of flora and fauna and have a lot to report back with. So lots of information, but a quick read. It was written very well, very just smooth reading. I just felt like all the material was handled very coherently and cohesively. And so you really do feel like you go on that adventure with them, which is great because, again, this is a very niche and specific activity of charting the botany in the Grand Canyon. But it's cool. It's fun. And it definitely feels like a mental getaway, for sure, while learning about some interesting stuff. So, best of both worlds. So those are my recommendations. And of course, I would love to hear of any recommendations you have for me, especially if they're in this category of mental vacation, mental getaway sort of experiences, because I'm always looking for my next one. But in the meantime, I do have some adventuring to do with my visitors here, so I will catch you next week.